Hi, Randy Preston here, Hockey 605, and I'm with former Stampede coach Kevin Hartzell. Kevin, how you doing, man?
Randy, I'm doing good. Good to be back in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, it's really good to see you again. We had a few kind of oddball conversations over the years, meeting you out at Huset's.
Mary Beth asked me, we were talking as we got here, and I won't call it sentimental, but we were talking about the things we missed, and her number one thing is Ann Weckworth, Gary's wife. They're just like sisters separated at birth or something. I mean, as soon as they're back together, there's this chemistry. And it's funny, I said, in an odd way, one of the things I miss is Huset's. I mean, I did bring it up. I just always loved sprint car racing, and I love the chance to go out on a Sunday night on a nice summer evening. One of the few places you can smoke a cigar and not have anybody be angry with you. So I enjoyed Huset's.
That sounds good. Well, you're here this weekend promoting your book, Leading from the Ice. Tell us a little bit about the journey to getting that book built.
Well, I had a lot of friends encouraging me to write the book, and really the essence of the book is I've really been mentored by some great leaders. My father, who was a union president for years, and I play for a guy like Herb Brooks, who's obviously an American icon, and I would call him a superior leader. I got to work first as a hockey coach and then in the TV sales department as under Hubbard Broadcasting with Stan Hubbard. And they're part of the book as well. All those people are part of the book and the lessons I took from them. And then really how we brought that focus on leadership to Sioux Falls with the Stampede. And of all the things I'm proud of, people might think it's we won an Anderson Cup and a Clark Cup. But it's really the number of captains that we were nurturing for major college hockey. And now as I get to travel about and see a lot of these players, and they're 3 years or 4 or 5 years wiser, they appreciate it. Not that they didn't when they were here, but as we know, when we're 18-year-old boys and we know everything about the world. But as they get a little older and wiser, and I get to run into them, and they understand what we were doing here, and their appreciation for the program they were part of, it really, that's probably my greatest, it's going to be memory or thing that I'm, really most proud of.
Well, I noticed, and I did read the book. I actually purchased it like the first week it was out, which is hopefully that spiced you up a little bit. But there's a lot of good stories in there about the Sioux Falls Stampede. There's a lot of great stories about some of the characters that were around you, in particular Bill Sexton and the ownership group, as well as you said Hubbard Broadcasting up north, and your dad. Love the story about your father and growing up in the Twin Cities. Do you have a favorite story from the book?
I don't know if I have a favorite story. I mean, for me, part of my favorite is being in Sioux Falls with Nate Prosser and Benny Holmstrom and that team. I mean, I've been on lucky to be on a national championship college team, and one that probably was the best team in America, and we just didn't win the last game. So I've been on some great teams, but I obviously chose to write about that one team, and it's something that we all know. I mean, if marriages would all be better if everybody was really selfless, right? And most teams, whether it's this team here at Sioux Falls Ford or any team, if you can get a group of people to be selfless and really care about the team, you can really accomplish great things. And well, these are 18 and 19-year-old kids, and so maybe that story of that Anderson Cup team, because that team was picked to finish last. And we were losing. When I got here, players were just flying the coop and weren't, it was like, even myself, I was like, man, what are we going to have? Well, you know what we had? We had really humble, hardworking, selfless people who wanted to achieve something together. Then I think as we got going and it got going good, of course that snowballs and everything snowballed to be, I just think it was a magical team, and I'm certain it's not going to be a team that we're going to see in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame someday. But if you ask me, I would tell you that team got every ounce of itself, of its ability out of itself, and it is the kind of team we should hold in high regard. And as much as I want to believe I was part of it, we had such great kids, and everybody was such a big part of it. So it was really, maybe that's my favorite part of the book.
All right. You spent a chapter in the book talking about the leadership training and your challenge weekend. That seems to be very unique to hockey and to leadership in general. Give me your kind of your perspective on that.
Well, that's really what we're doing now as well as far as a business with these Navy SEALs. We're just going out and putting people through that same experience of a challenge weekend. And what we did, and Andy Jones and I were really studying how to better, teach leadership, because it's, we only get these kids here in junior hockey for a year or two, and we wanted to accelerate their understanding of leadership. And one of the first things we thought of, well, we have to get them out of the hockey environment because there's this natural pecking order, whether you want to agree with it or not. The kid who doesn't shave, who's played junior hockey for 2 years, is up here supposedly, and the kid who's new and never shaven is down here. Well, you know, when you put them into a game where none of them know the rules, and you take them away from their hockey environment, all of a sudden that kid might actually be the smartest and the best. And we started mixing them into these different games and challenges, and really working with them on who leads, who listens. And sometimes the guy with all the whiskers and was the toughest guy they thought and doesn't know how to listen, for example, and has to learn to listen to people with good ideas. And it just opened their minds, I think, to what leadership really looks like. And again, in the book, I talk about being around the Hubbards, and these people are also the best listeners you'll ever meet. They get themselves surrounded by good people, and then they do what leaders do, they listen.
Well, Kevin, you've had an interesting road over the years. I know everybody knows in Sioux Falls knows about your years here with the Stampede. I know that after you left the Stampede, you went overseas and coached for a few years. Could you tell me a little bit about that team?
Well, we were in Norway, in Lillehammer, and it was just last year. And it was, for me, it was one of the best experiences I've probably ever had. I've been hearing, especially from coaches in the USHL, are like, oh, if you coach pro, you're not coming back to because all you do is coach. Stampede, you've got the next team, looking over the horizon, where the player's coming from. You're so involved in all those things, and many other things. I mean, taking care of the kids off the ice, working with the host families. Well, when you go coach pro, that's what you do. You coach. They live their life. You let them live their life, and you hold them accountable to play the game. And I had a team that really bought into. They'd never had a North American coach before, so they were intrigued with what this was going to look like. And to make a long story short, we had a former Stampede player, Nick Deneen, and he was one of our go-to guys, I would say, but as well as many others. And it was just one of the best experiences, and that was another team that I would say got every ounce of its ability out of itself. And it was just a great experience, and Norway is an amazingly beautiful place. And the only downside, I'd say, is my wife started getting bored. And I mean that not in a bad way, but, you know, when everybody'd say, wasn't it great? Well, she goes, yeah, it was great, but I got to work out in the mornings, and then my day was over. So she got a little bored, and that's also part of why we're not coaching this year. There were some jobs we could have taken, but she wants to have a life too, and she loves the healthcare industry, and she's doing home healthcare right now, taking care of somebody who needs some care. And it makes her feel good about what she's contributing in the world as well.
That sounds good. Well, if someone wants to get your book, what's the best way to purchase that book besides going to the game tomorrow night?
Simple, Amazon.com. Or then go to our website, which is LEG Teams, which stands for Leadership Enterprise Group Teams, legteams.com. And again, Amazon, you can stock up on books. So.
There you go. Kevin, nice to see you again. Thank you for offering your time here tonight.
All right, Randy, thank you.
Have a good time. Thank you.